into the Bay Area next week. You've got that in hand, and know that formally we're behind you as well as all of our informal statements. But thank you on behalf of the council for the great work that you're doing for the city.
To you and all of the, I think I'd like to take it back to those early days, in the post-Katrina world, that first week when we didn't see very many people walking around, when we had to sidestep the body on Newton that stayed there for 3 weeks, or the one on Earhart that stayed there for 2 weeks, or the other one on the way to get an old couple, 91 and 81, out their house, the one that stayed in the water for a week and a half, or the barbecue on the corner of Newton in Whitney. I don't know how many homes I done cleaned out, or, that's just what we do. I grew up in Lower Ninth Ward, but back when we didn't have FEMA insurance, we had to help each other. So I like the spirit of what Common Ground has done. But Malik, I think I like the spirit of what you have done. And I done heard a whole lot of people create a whole lot of stories about a whole lot of what was done and who did what. I'm going to leave that alone. But thank you for actually doing what a lot of people are writing books about, or making movies and documentaries about, because I didn't see too many people. I didn't see too many people when we looked around down the street. I didn't see too many people, but I saw men and women who put their own safety second, who put their own health issues second. And let me say, as someone who had to be rescued when they were a boy and who had to live in a shelter because of Hurricane Betsy, it was people like you who helped me and my family. So I can't, for me not to support you, would be going against everything that I've been through in my life. So hopefully when history writes it right, we'll know who ran and who didn't. I'm going to say it. And for the people who didn't run, like yourselves, you'll have a place forever. You got a place with me forever. So anything I can do to support you. I don't know why the federal government, the state government, and the city government, we want to spend money. Spend money with y'all. We want to make a difference. Make a difference with y'all. So while we creating up new ways to spend money, y'all submit y'all budget too. Because either you real or it's just words. Because I know what's been done for free already. I saw it. And like we said, in the Lower Nine where I grew up, I seen it. I don't want y'all to, because the paper will write Oliver Thomas don't know how to talk, so I'm just messing with everybody. But I just, from man to man, for all the young men and women who are out there, thank y'all for helping our families. I hear a lot of people complaining about what's not being done. Yeah, but hey, it's like my father used to say about blaming folk. If you wait on a person who messed it up to straighten it up, you might be waiting a long, 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 long time. So thanks for being real men and women. I thought that was the end of the comments, but we have Councilmember Willard Lewis.
Thank you, my brother. And we've had some personal encounters.
Yeah.
And I just want to, again, for the larger viewing audience, just talk about the invaluable, cannot be quantified measure of support and sense of urgency that you all brought to the restoration process, regardless of where the neighborhood was or the economics of the family. You decided you can be an agent for help, and you were. And that is why when families traveled in the Lower Ninth Ward and cried, it was the young people at the Blue House in the Lower Ninth Ward that offered relief and comfort and water and food and encouragement and said, we're here to help. And they were there from the beginning. And Dr. Ed Blakely was here this past weekend, an international disaster specialist from the University of Australia who's gone all over the world examining and doing analysis on disaster response. And so while everybody's right now talking about recovery and planning, Common Ground dealt with disaster response. When America, the federal government's response was delayed, you guys were immediate. And so I thank you for that, because his observation is that it must occur within the first 24 hours. Within any natural disaster, disaster recovery response, in order to make it a doable project with hope, it has to occur within the first 24 hours. And we all know in New Orleans, it was 3 days, 4 days before anybody came to help us. But the people...
We say
within the
4 in New
neighborhood-
Orleans. It's
I
4,
said-
4 for the viewing audience.
Well, yeah, when
You know,
yeah, you're right, Al, because my dad will probably...
we don't want them to say their council members can't use proper diction. Well, people hold that against you. Just like when you're going for application, you could be a genius, but if you don't say the word the way they want you to say it, they might not give you a job.
Well, you're absolutely correct. There was an absence of a sense of urgency and restoration from the federal response within those initial critical 24 hours. However, the heroes on the ground, the common ground, galvanized and mobilized and made the difference to save and to build up within those first 24 hours, and then stayed, never abandoned, never forsake, but were committed to the task and the mission. And so our hearts are committed to them, and I thank you.
I knew she was going to come through.
Maybe that's the reason why the federal government is not there to support us, because I do speak Ebonics. And maybe they just don't understand Ebonics yet.
Hey,
So, maybe we need to...
they don't understand suffering yet either. Councilmember Carter,
Mr. Rahim, you spoke.
shut it down.
I want to get down to some of the particular issues you mentioned. What is the difficulty with the clinic reopening right now? What can we do to help you?
Really, it's just technicalities. And every time that we overcome one, there's another one. Council member
That's in.
Cynthia Willard-Lewis, she have been to our health clinic. And it's a shame, it's a disgrace that in an area of the city that is more in need of health care, that we have health care there with physicians from all over the country that's willing to come down and help us to make it a real functioning plus to the city, that we are denied.
So that's something we can work on.
Let me just respond to that, because he is absolutely correct. We had to overcome the hurdles of state regulations, because as you know, the state Department of Health and Hospitals sets the standards, and then our role is really more in terms of oversight on building safety codes and things of that nature. And my office, my staff have numerous times visited the center, worked with Mary Fontenot and others to accelerate the timeline and get many of the roadblocks mitigated. However, there seem to be a few more zoning requirements and building safety issues, and Mr. Centennial is engaged and willing to sit down and make this happen. And I think we've got a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, because I was not aware after the last intervention to get the job done that it still had not been certified, because if you recall, we did give that window of time where we were open temporarily and operating, and so I was not aware that all of the appropriate safeguards had not been accomplished. And you know, I was hearing about this on yesterday, because we were temporarily opened in deference to the hard work of the community of Common Ground. We had a ribbon cutting, and You know, so it was brought to my attention yesterday, and we're pulling together the Director of Safety Permits, and we hope to have some resolution within a very short time period for you. And again, I thank you for all of your hard work, and I appreciate your acknowledging the fact that we were instrumental in getting a lot of the initial roadblocks removed, and I've got to find out exactly what the current ones are, because we were able to open initially, and I don't know if there were some things that were temporarily waived that have to now just be officially complied with, and I'm sure that is what happened.
Mr. Rahim, what about any specific other issues that you can use the council's help to expedite?
One is our crime abatement program. We're in the process of planning a week event during the Bayou Classic over in McDonald Park.
So these, we want to make sure that these areas are available for your activities.
Yes, because
Okay, we have that.
one of the things that we hoping we want us to support, you know, is things that will bring that positive image of New Orleans, and especially of African Americans in New Orleans, that we all not looters or gangsters.
Right.
That some of us is not on drugs, that some of us is truly trying to uplift ourselves, but we need support. You know, I mean, if the banking institutions would work in our community the way they have worked to help in the revitalization of other areas, then just maybe we'll be a little further advanced. But the thing that we need to see if we could get the park from the 20th to the 27th of November. We need your support for the hip hop summit, Crime Summit, on the 11th of November. We need your support to help us. We're trying to open up our ex-offenders program, and by ex-offenders program, I don't mean trying to create another community service center or Odyssey House, because we want to work with them. But we have space and we have beds available for the house ex-offenders. So these are the things we need.
The summit, is this Reverend Yearwood Summit?
Yes.
Been moved back to November 11th?
November 11th.
Our last question. Have you gotten strong support from the City Council District C?
Oh, yes. You
All right.
know that. You know that.
What a self-serving comment, that question that is. Boy, oh boy. Mr. Rahim, anything else?
Oh, no. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk.
We're on page 34 in communications. We have a communication from Robert Florence, Good News, New Orleans, requesting to address the council on their efforts to rebuild the devastated tourism economy.